What's Cooking Wednesday, guys? We are here this week. We're going to take a look at the deck I played for Liverpool Regionals to get my top 64 finish. I finished 57th place after day 2. I went into day 2, though, being in 34th place with a 7-2 record. So let's take a look at the original 60. This is the list I posted last week on YouTube for those that follow me. And I did make a change for the regional itself. So here is the list I brought to the tournament. The only major change, and the only change actually, is I dropped a Roxanne for Avery. So I did put an Avery in the deck as I thought it would be good moving forward into what I predicted the meta to be. So it's pretty standard. We have the 4 Comfey, the 3 Tina VSTAR. I did double down on Cramorant. My thoughts behind the double cram was I wanted to lean more into the technical machine de-evolution. And I also thought that it would be good going into the mirror match because it gives me just another card to take an easy 1 KO with. So my theory behind the cram was to lean into the TM more and to try and balance out the mirror match and win those mirrors a little easier. However, what you'll see here in a second is it did not make that much of a difference for the mirror match. But everything else is pretty standard. We have the Sableye. We are on the Greninja. I played just 2 waters. This only came back to haunt me one time as far as needing the Greninja snipe. And then the 4 Path, 4 Energy, 4 Jet. Everything's pretty standard outside of that. I did only play 1 Pokegear. Pokegear was a card that every time I used it, I felt I was super underwhelmed. I understand why people play it at 2, because they want to get as many Colress off as quickly as possible to hit that 7, to hit the 10, for the Mirage Gate, for the Lost Mine, for the V-Star power. But I just whiffed every time. So all my theory crafting and all my fish bowling of the deck, because I actually did not play the deck very much. If you remember most of my videos, I was testing Snorlax. So I went into this tournament with maybe 4 actual games played of this deck online. Maybe not even 4, maybe only 3, to be honest. The 3 games I played versus Scouse Daddy, I think were the only games I played of this deck before that tournament. So I dropped the Pokegear because I really wanted the counter catcher. Originally, I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll drop a Roxanne for counter catcher. And then I was like, no, I don't like the Pokegear. We'll drop it down to 1. It is a necessary evil. It does help sometimes, but I don't know. Overall, I was not a fan of the Pokegear. A lot of the times I was just whiffing it, and it just made me angry. Whereas this counter catcher actually ended up being a really good inclusion. It won me quite a few games. It was a very strong card the entire weekend, and I am not upset at it at all. So first, let's talk about the Liverpool Regional meta. So as everybody knows, Mew won with Giratina coming in 2nd place. And the largest, most represented deck during day 1 and day 2 was Charizard. So my prediction of wanting to lean into that TM because of Charizard seems like it was a good prediction, because there was a lot of people on Charizard. 17% of the room, and then 12% of the room were on Giratina VSTAR Lost Zone, which I was on, and then the Miraidon, which I believe the Miraidon number, I played it back to back. So we are going to take a look at my matches for the day and talk about them a little. So for this event, I was just going to hang out with the guys, chill with the boys, eat some food, have a fun weekend. I was not taking it serious at all, so that's why I didn't really test the deck. I understand card games as I play them a lot, so I figured, hey, whatever, we'll go in here, we'll 0-3 drop, we'll have a good time, we'll do some of the side events, do some of the side things. There was so much going on at Liverpool Regional, so much so that some of the stuff that happened I didn't even find out about until after it was already said and done, And so there's just so much to do at a Pokemon Regional. So day 1, very first match of the day, we play against Gardevoir. I had a familiar idea of what Gardevoir did. It does what other decks in the past have done before with the putting down energy, drawing cards, manipulating the energies. I know that putting down Path on the EX is strong to stop them from laying those energies down. This game was 48 minutes for just game 1. It took a very long time. It was super close. Either of us could have won game one at any moment, and it just so happens that he got the win at the very end there. And I was like, okay, we're off to a good start. We're going to get this 0-3 drop and head to the buffet. Going to be a good weekend. We'll eat some food. We'll chill. The next matchup here, it doesn't show what he played, but he was on Rapid Strike just like the round 3. Nice guy. I will say this, all my opponents were super chill all weekend. Had a lot of great conversations. It was great meeting these people. So this guy, he was on the Rapid Strike. I do believe I won this one 2-0 rather quickly, actually. He had trouble setting up. I remember bossing up the Octillery, or maybe it was still the Remoraid at the time. See, this is one matchup I knew how to play against for the simple fact of when I was playing, Rapid Strike was still in deck. So I kind of lucked out with my matches for that. So back-to-back Rapid Strike. The next one, I believe, was also a 2-0. It was not too tough of a matchup for me because we can just V-Star, take 3 prizes. So for this one, I knew the mapping would need to be kill the Remoraid, because if they set up, you're probably going to lose because of how he can spread the damage on my little guys, you know. So we bench sniped Remoraid anytime we could with Boss or Counter Catcher. And then we simply V-Star, take out a big one. I think I even got a KO in the round 3 one using the de-evolution. I think I cram twice and then used the de-evolution on Comfey to take out a Inteleon V or something like that to win this game. So I do believe I 2-0'd both of these people. But for this entire event, it was really tough because I kept having to read what people's cards did because I don't play Pokemon that seriously anymore. So for the 4th round, this one was a lot of reading. I didn't know what any of these Miraidon, Flaffy, I didn't know what any of these cards did, but I won this matchup. Took some big KOs. He started off like doing the Iron Hand things, and then I recognized what I needed to do to win and did what was needed to win these games. And also, I think he had some bad lucks on the generators where he whiffed generator a couple of times. And then the next matchup, this is the first Zard. So this one was another one of those, I believe like game 1 I just bricked. It might have been game 3 I bricked. One of the matches in this one I just bricked and just lost. I do think we played all 3 matches though, because I feel like there was one match against the Zard where I totally just completely bricked and just lost, and there was just nothing I could do. Like I didn't have anything to search for. I think I put down just 2 Pokemon in the game. I don't know. So this is one of those, you can't help it. Like, it happens. And I think the game that he did win, like, straight up won it, was game 2. And he outed Path for a turn, and it allowed him to set up everything to take the win. So it was a fun match, though, regardless. You know, I think I hit the de-evolution a turn too late. It got to a point where I couldn't do anything, something like that. And then the next matchup, this was another American. Actually, she might have been the only other American in the tournament, but she was playing under a British flag, as I was also playing under an Italian flag for this. So she was on Goldango, I think is the name of the Pokemon. The coins, you know, where you discard energies. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So game 1, I had nothing. Like, straight up, I think she might have donked me, or close to it. I think she just like killed Giratina V and then killed Giratina V and won the game. I think it was something like that. Then game 2, she started off bad, and I was able to donk her. I think she started maybe just Goldango or Scyther. She was on that build with the metal evolution. And then game 3 was almost a donk. And I think in the end it wasn't, but I ended up winning thanks to some boss plays and things like that. I don't remember if it was back and forth or not. I don't think the game was very back and forth. I think it was just game 1 I got pooped on. Game 2, she just straight up bricked. Like, she had no Pokemon, and I turn 2 was able to get the Cramorant. It was like the very last card. Like, I didn't have Cram, I think. I didn't have a way to find the Cram and also get to 5, or maybe it was a switch. But I remember Colress experimenting and picking up 4 cards, and like the very last card being the card I needed to get the donk. So that was, you know, very lucky on my part. And then round 7, we played against another Charizard. And this one went a little more in my favor. I know one game I ended up taking a 3 prize turn with de-evolution. The card did exactly what it was supposed to do in this matchup. I was able to put damage down and stuff. I think the match went pretty well overall. And then that might be the game. There was one opponent, he put the Jirachi down the turn after I lost mine. That might be the game after, because I think I had threatened the Greninja early, so they're worried about the Greninja when I got a turn 3 lost mine going. And then the next one was Gardevoir's, my second Gardevoir matchup of the day. I think I won this one. It might have been a 2-0. It's hard to remember now. But he was a nice guy who's kind of quiet, compared to everybody else. I think everybody else was talking like a lot the entire time. I'm a very talkative person when I play, which, I will stop, let them think, especially when they're doing like the initial deck search. I don't want to be a hindrance on their play, but, I'm just there to have a good time. I started every single game off of telling them to please beat me so I could go home. And then a couple of people were like, yeah, you could just give me the win. I was like, that's not what I said. I said, please beat me. I'm not throwing. I'm not going to give you the win. I paid the money to be here. But I also want to get that disappointment over with as quickly as possible, if that makes sense. I want to play the game, get the disappointment over with. But so I won this round 8. All right. At this point, I was, I believe, 6-2. So at this point, I just need a draw, and I'm guaranteed day 2. And I'm like, okay, please just give me an opponent that's also 6-2 and can get the draw. And we just draw. We go to dinner. We can go somewhere that's be early enough to go somewhere nice and go to a buffet or something like that. Didn't happen. I ended up getting paired against this fellow from Spain. He was a nice guy, I did ask, because you're allowed to ask one time, so I did ask if he wanted the ID, and, he hit me with that, I don't speak English, kind of thing as a joke. But it was fine. We had a good match. It shows here that he was on Palkia. Technically he was, but it was Chen Pao Palkia Ice Rider. So for this, I don't know what Chen Pao did, and his Chen Pao was like Spanish or whatever, I think. So I remember just going, it's like 60 times some energy, something like that. I was like, whatever, I'm not worried about the Chen Pao, especially after I saw the Ice Rider, because I know Ice Rider is like the big, we're putting down damage card. So I think in this game, I heard a Chen Pao early on with Cram, and he might have killed the Cram, but that Cram that hurt Chen Pao sat on his bench the entire game, and I was able to later just checkmate him where I could either take a KO here or take the KO on the Chen Pao. But I always targeted down his Ice Riders using Counter Catcher and Boss. I never saw the VMAX. I never once let him put that VMAX down. I did not want to deal with it. I did not want to play a 7-prize game. No. So, yeah, I did not let Ice Rider do any Ice Rider things. And again, this deck was a thing when I played outside of the Chen Pao, obviously. That was a new addition. So I knew to not overbench. So he was never able to one-shot with the Palkia. So I felt like I played into it smart, and I was able to get the win and move on to day 2 in 31st place. So I finished day 1 in 7-2, 31st place, and I was like, cool. I wanted to 0-3 drop, but here we are. Now I got to wake up tomorrow and play some more. But I was like, well, I guess I should finally take this serious, right? I don't know. It just felt like, I didn't want to get my hopes up, because my worst fear was I'm going to disappoint myself, which, as you can see from these results, it does happen. I do not get into top 32. I do not get the $1,000 prize. So round 10 is our third Zard for the day, which honestly, considering the amount of Zards, it's a pretty normal for me to hit those Zards. This one was, I believe, the first game Boss stuck, and he could not do anything about it at all. His hand was not good. He did a YOLO research and still couldn't do anything about it. Something along those lines, I believe. And then game 2, Path didn't stick, but he still wasn't able to fully commit. And I think I also got a kind of a soft checkmate with a Lost Mine set up to where I had already killed the Jirachi, so he couldn't put down Pidgey without it just dying instantly because of the Lost Mine. I think I might have bossed up or counter-catchered up a Rotom V. I put him in a really, really bad spot in the second game to where there was just nothing he could really do without Lost Mine, Sableye killing his bench because the Jirachi being killed early on. And so it was a pretty decent victory. Like I said, I think he bricked just a bit in both of the games. He didn't really get to play Pokemon, if you know what I mean. And then round 11, my first Roaring Moon matchup. No clue what any of the cards did. The guy was nice enough, though, that he put the card down. He just put it down facing me so I could read it. Like, I had explained to him before the match started that I hadn't played in like 2 years. So he put the cards down. We're reading it. Game 1, I get set up pretty good, and he doesn't do much of anything. And he scoops like turn 3 because I believe he just knew there was nothing he'd be able to do. Game 2, he gets like full setup and he's ready to go, and it was a pretty long game. I probably should have scooped a turn sooner, but I saw a line for victory, so I went for it, but it's fine. Ultimately, it did not matter. We do go to time, but game 3, this is what I remember. I remember Sableye early on, and I put 3 damage counters on his Roaring Moons. The one with it had a different tool. It didn't have the tool that boosted HP. And basically, if he did his knockout, it would be a 2 prize for me, 2 prize for him, and, you know, sudden death, whatever they do in real life. I have no idea. Tie, maybe. I don't know. But basically, we both went down to, I think he had 1 card in deck. I had 3 cards in deck, and I just had to hope he didn't have the switch card or just misplay in general. So what I saw was him, I thought he brought up, so I looked away to check the time, even though we were in time. My brain is dumb, but luckily we had a judge watching it because we were in time and they wanted to, you know, get these match slips in as quickly as possible to keep day 2 going. So what he did, he brought in the Hurt Roaring Moon, then switch carded it out for the little free retreat Morpeko, and then switched back manually. I missed that part, so I was like, wait, what? How does that not have the 30 on it? And the judge was like, no, that's what he did. I was like, okay, fine, no worries. It's my fault for taking my eye off the game. But I made the play just praying that, you know, he had burned all his switch cards. He had no switch card left, that his last prize was switch card, or the last card in deck was switch card. Had to do what I had to do, and, well, he had the switch card to heal, so I did take the loss there. That was my first loss going into day 2. It's fine, you know, it happens, right? So next game versus Rapid Strike. Sorry, so this game is a little interesting. So we did get a tie. However, for this game, we sit down. Because the last match went into time, I basically finished my match, stood up, walked towards the bathroom, and then instantly the next round started. So I went to the table, we set up everything. He makes his turn. I play Battle VIP Pass. I grabbed 2 Pokemon and instantly just yelled, "Judge!" at the top of my lungs. And my opponent's like freaking out. He's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?" I just had to use the potty, man. I had to go. So I told the judge, like, "Hey, I really, really got to use the toilet. Like, can you watch my stuff? Is it okay?" And it was. We got an extension for how long I went to the bathroom for. But it was just, it was a funny situation. Like, it shouldn't have happened, but because they were doing the rounds just boom, 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 there was no time at all for me to go to the bathroom on this one because of this last match going to time. He won it in time on the very last round. And then here, we do get the draw. There was nothing I could do. Like, essentially, like, game 1, I think I won game 1. Game 2, he won with Urshifu, Yoga Loop into Urshifu. And then game 3, he had the Yoga Loop Urshifu as well. And we were close to time. However, he had 5 prizes, and there was just no way he could get enough prizes. So it ended up being a draw, and I couldn't take a KO at all on my turn. This another funny thing happened in this match. Because we were in time with the time extension, judges were all around watching us. I brought up, I Super Rod Mirage gated and just slid the energy directly under. And then, you know, searched my deck to see what was in there and then did a shuffle. And then I switched into that Giratina, flipped the V-Star, went to grab my prizes, and all of a sudden I hear, "No!" And this judge is just yelling at the top of his lungs. It scared the living shit out of me, to be completely honest. Good thing I already went to the bathroom at the beginning of that game. Because he didn't know the 2 energy were under it. He was paying attention, but he wasn't paying attention to realize that I had slid the energy directly under it off of the Super Rod Mirage Gate. He only saw the 1, and basically I did it real quick because, I'm trying to get the game over with. Anyway, he's like, just lay your energies out better next time. I'm like, yes, sir, thank you, that kind of thing, The energies were there. My opponent knew. Everybody knew except for, like, that one judge. But, scary stuff when you're getting yelled at by a judge in time. And he's just, no! He's trying to stop me. I think he was one of the head judges. He had, like, the red on instead of the normal black and white. Basically, he was like, I just wanted to make sure you didn't get an illegal prize draw on energy penalty, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. It's there, though. No problems. And then the very next round, this is the first time I played Giratina the entire day. So I went in with double Cramorant thinking, woo, this is going to be good for the mirror match. I didn't play a single Giratina until round 13. He is friends with the guy in round 12. His friend told him, good luck before the thing. He told us both good luck. He walked by one of those nudge him on the shoulder kind of things, So they clearly were friends. They knew each other maybe from the same place in Spain. The guy was really nice. His English was limited. My Spanish is also limited. I knew a couple jokes. We joked around a little bit. But the game was really, really funny because game 1, he opens Sableye and just has nothing. He attaches an energy and that's it. Game 2, game 2. The next, I can't donk it. It goes to his turn. He looks at his hand and he scratches for 20. And I'm just like, oh, I definitely just won this game 1. And then game 2, I think he opens Sableye again. And I was like, oh, God, is this about to happen? Is this really about to happen? Luckily, it did not. He didn't get donked, and he was able to play a little in game 2. I don't know. Me and him just had a great time. We were drawing like battle VIP passes. It was just a really fun game. That's what I love about Pokemon. Me and him couldn't speak to each other, but we still had a very memorable, fun match where we were making jokes about how bad we were drawing or about how the deck played, because we're both doing the same things. Like game 2, I remember he won because he was able to use Greninja, whereas I prized Greninja game 2, so I couldn't do any bench sniping. And then game 3, I was able to bench snipe plus the double crams, and an early V-Star helped me just take that lead. It forced him to have to use more than he wanted to use, so I was able to win that match 2-1. And then round 14 against Yang Shi, or Shi Yang, I guess, maybe his name. He was a French player. He was nice. We played a little. He clearly knew what he needed to do for the match. He was very stoic, sitting there calm, doing everything he needed. So basically, he had everything, every game is essentially the only way to say it. Like, anytime I put down path, he outed it the next turn. Nothing stuck, nothing worked, and he was able to set up and take the KOs early on. And yeah, I just lost. Like, there's just nothing I could really do in the match to win. Like, I was trying to set up a big de-evolution turn, and I was unable to do it. And I was like, well, I guess I'll do it here. And if he doesn't have the rare candy, I win the next turn. He had the rare candy in hand, so it made no difference. He was able to slam the Charizard back down and win the game. All right, round 15, I played against Darren. He is a British player. I've met him a few times, but I don't think he remembers me. It's only because I used to live in the UK and play around the cups and stuff there. He was on Cloth, I believe is the name of the Pokemon. You poison, do the special conditions, extra damage. So game 1 took quite a while, and I end up winning game 1. And then game 2 took just as long, essentially. And it was down to the wire on game 2 that I set it up so that the only way he could win is if he had an Electrode left or Voltorb, whatever the EX is with the free attack, So I set all that up, and I'm like, if he doesn't have it, I win this. If he does have it, I don't. And yeah, he had it, so he took the KO, and there was 26 seconds left in time. So, time was called before we could even set up the game, so we could not begin game 3, and we got a tie there. So it's really unfortunate. I went 2-2-2 on day 2. I won, lost, one, lost, one, lost, tie, or one lost tie, one lost tie, sorry. So I went 2-2-2 in day two. It was very unfortunate, and it put me in 57th place. And I was checking the rankings. If I would have just won either of these two matches here, it would have put me in the top 32 with my points. But yeah, I didn't, and I didn't, and I didn't. But overall, it was a fun weekend. We played some Pokemon. We did our thing. The reason I chose Giratina V, outside of the fact that I owned every card for it except for like the Jet Energy and the De-Evolution, I felt like it was the best deck just because it has such a high ceiling. Yes, the deck has a huge decision tree every single game. You have lots of choices thanks to the Comfey, You have to make sure you keep count of your energies, keep check of everything the entire time you're playing, because it's really important to know your resources, know what's left, know if you have any outs, know if you can win. But the deck has so many ways to win that I think that is why I chose it. It's not a one attacking deck. We have the Cram, we have the Lost Mine, we have the Greninja play potentially if we need it, and then we also have the Giratina V with the V-Star power. So I chose the deck because I felt like it was a high ceiling deck where it has a big decision tree every game, and I wanted to lose based off of me playing incorrectly rather than me just playing a weaker deck. So I went with the very strong Giratina deck. It worked out for me. I mean, it was definitely a mentally taxing weekend, I'll say that. By the end of day one, I was utterly exhausted. All right, just super dead tired, but it was fun nonetheless. I'll try to post up some pics. We'll get some shorts going. We have a lot of content for this weekend to make up, but I did, like I said, guys, appreciate the entire weekend. I appreciate Scout's daddy for putting me up at his house. I appreciate the guys who let me get the De-Evolution. Shout outs to Kyle. I think he's the one that hooked me up with the De-Evolution. And also, I think he loaned me the Jet Energies and Path, and I eventually traded for them to keep them. It was a fun weekend. It was nice meeting everybody that I met. Overall, had a great time, even though I was really tired. Did not expect to make day two. Did not practice at all. Went in blind for the matchup knowledge as far as the different matchups go. I had an understanding of what the decks were doing, and I think that might have ultimately helped me because I was sitting there making my decisions live in game based on what I could see that he could do with his board, and I wasn't overthinking anything. I think that is the biggest plateau I have had in card games is I'll find myself overthinking the plays and go, oh crap, no, what if he does this and that and this and that? No, I was just sending everything, I was like, boss is a thing, sure, I didn't overthink anything though because I did not really know what they could do next. I saw what was on the table and I put up the board that I knew could take care of what was there. You know what I mean? So maybe moving forward, if you're trying to reach that next level in games, just take a step back and don't overthink your plays. That's probably my strongest advice coming out of this is I'm not saying don't try to win tournaments, obviously. Don't practice matchups. Matchup knowledge is extremely important. I got very fortunate that I was able to quickly analyze decks and figure out what to do, That's just the knowledge of playing card games for so long. But essentially, I chose this deck because it's an older deck that I had the knowledge of what do I do? What does my deck do? What is it capable of doing? How do I win? You know what I mean? So ultimately, I didn't overthink any plays the entire weekend because I couldn't. And I loved that fact, and maybe I'll stick to that in the future. I finally met some of the players from here in Italy. They want me to come to Cups and things like that. They're all super cool, but I doubt I'll go to Cups because I'm not on the chase for points for Worlds. I might go to a few locals here and there. Rotation is soon, though, so, I'm probably going to be losing deck, and then I won't have anything to play again. So who knows moving forward, but it was nice to meet those guys. It was cool to hang out with everybody, to see old faces again. It was a great time overall. Shout outs to the staff for getting this working. Shout outs to them for buying internet after round 2 so that there was more Wi-Fi because it became impossible to check pairings. You're having to ask Judge to check the pairings. But they fixed it. They got the free Wi-Fi up. It was working. It was great. Shout outs to everybody who came, supported me, was there to hang out with throughout the weekend. And remember, guys, to like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.